if we would like to talk more about practical things. So you've covered that, noticing somebody, a child or an adult, and reaching out to them and saying, hey, is there something going on? Would you like to talk? Or if you call a friend who's been isolated and you say, maybe you can't talk now, send me a text. Or you do get to talk to somebody, they actually start telling you what's going on. You can get a kid to draw a picture if it's too difficult for you to talk about this. Here, would you like to draw me a picture? Or just saying, look, I'm not here to judge you. I just want to be here to listen to you. I'm not going to give you advice. I'm just here to listen and validate by saying, wow, that sounds like it's been really hard. So it doesn't take professional training to do that. It takes patience, and it takes us stepping into that unconditional role, that higher role where our ego is not involved. I think that's a summary of what practical advice you've given us so far. Is there more practical thing? Are there more practical things that we could offer somebody that we see is in a domestic abuse situation?
Well, there's lots. If you're working with someone regularly on an ongoing basis, it's so important to encourage people to care for themselves, especially in our religious path. There's this notion that it's selfish to take care of yourself, like it's a luxury if you rest when you're tired, or eat healthy food, or go for a walk if you need it. But in fact, it's a duty that we all have to care for ourselves. And people who have had abuse have been shamed to such a degree that they feel guilty if they do anything good for themselves, to eat healthy food, or to take a nap, or get a massage, go for a walk. That all feels like, oh, this is just sense gratification. But I think to support people, these are the ways a person can heal. Also, to come back to wholeness is to care for themselves emotionally by finding a way to express their feelings, to learn something new, to find their voice, to find something that gives them joy to do. Maybe it's gardening, maybe it's painting or music. I know when I joined the Hare Krishna movement, I have been playing the piano since I was 4 by ear. And I was told that the piano is not a devotional instrument, so I couldn't play. I wasn't allowed to play, so I threw away my keyboard. And then I would sneak down to the music shop to play because it was just such a part of me. But for 50 years almost, I didn't play an instrument because I thought this is not. But it was very very liberating to be able to again connect with a musical instrument. But I had been shamed into thinking it wasn't a harmonium, but it wasn't a kartals, it wasn't a pridanga, and therefore that's not allowed. So again, back to religious abuse, giving people permission to find their joy and to use their potential, and even name the achievements they've had or the things they can do, and encourage people to take care of themselves, and that's okay. In fact, it's the one main reason that people harm other people is because they're not getting their own needs met. And so if we can help people avert domestic abuse by, first of all, learning how to meet their own needs rather than depending on others to meet their needs, then you won't be expecting now your job in life is to meet my needs. The reality is we all can meet our own needs. We just need to know how to do that. And that's okay to do it. And so if we care for ourselves, we're less likely to abuse other people because we'll be satisfied people and not needy people that are blaming others for not getting my needs met. That's very empowering. It was very empowering for me as a woman also to know, take ownership. Okay, so I'm tired. I should go take a nap. I'm hungry. Well, I should go eat something and give myself permission to get my needs met that way. I'm lonely. I should go talk to a friend.
It's a wonderful point that you made. We take ownership of our own happiness. There's another thing that keeps them, away from actually freeing themselves from this cycle of abuse, and that is their expectation that he will change.
Yeah.
No, I can change him. I will try to find out what it is that is disturbing him. Many times girls are actually attracted to such boys. Those who are those tough guys who talk less and who are very tough, and they feel that he must be undergoing some difficulty in his life, he must be suffering, and I will give him happiness and I will change him. And that's where they get stuck. Their expectation that I will get to the root of the problem and I will change him. And that doesn't happen. So at some point they have to realize that I have to take care of myself now, as you rightly said. So finding out what one activity we do for them is we help them to gather resources. The resources which are already there, but they are not aware about. For example, we tell them to write down their own strengths. What are the things, skills that they have? What are the things that they have done? How they have faced with, how they have dealt with adverse situations in the past? What are the coping strategies that they use? So they know everything. They know how to do things. Have there been any exceptions, where you have not tolerated the abuse or you have done something to draw boundaries? So making them conscious of things that they themselves have come up with solutions in the past, making them conscious. Who are your friends? What are the list of friends? Who are the friends you think you could reach out to? Who are the friends you think could actually reach out to you if you need help? So making a list of all those resources, then creating is what is called as a hope kit, especially for those who are having suicidal ideation. That what are the things that you look forward to in life, like Mataji said about playing the piano or keyboard, or some people have been painting but they have stopped doing it now because they have lost interest in life. Most of them are deep into depression, so then they have no interest in doing the things that they used to do earlier. So reminding them about those things, so when they start doing those things also, they get energy. Because right now they are bereft of all energy, they are completely low in energy. So we make them write down all those things, and then they realize, oh yeah, there are so many things that I can do. So many people who are there for me. That itself gives them, boosts their morale. That yes, I'm not alone here in this. There are people with me who care for me, who have reached out to me in the past and who will do so in the future too. So, and doing the things that they like to do, that also increases their it increases their energy levels, because there is something called an emotion frequency chart. If you go on the net, you will find it. Every emotion has a particular energy. So those who are undergoing grief or guilt, sorrow, their energy level will be as low as 20. Happiness is 540.
Wow.
Yeah, and when you are at guilt or shame, which you are being made to feel all the time. So guilt is 20, shame is 30, then comes sorrow, then comes anger. So there are different emotions. The highest emotion is self-actualization or spirituality. That is very high. So 540 is happiness, joy. So obviously somebody who is at such a low level, you can't tell them that no, you should be happy. It's not magic that I tell them and they become happy. Then we tell them to do gratitude journaling. When they do gratitude journaling, first person they offer gratitude to is themselves. They have to write 10 points about themselves, why they are grateful. What are your achievements in life? You have given birth to children, you have done this, you have learned how to play the piano, you sing well, or you draw well, or you are taken care of your parents, you are a good student, or you cook well, whatever, things that they have taken for granted, but where they feel good about themselves when they write these points down. Gratitude to themselves and then to others, whoever has helped them out or in any way. When they do this gratitude journaling, it helps to increase their energy levels, because gratitude has the same frequency as joy, 540.
Yeah, nice. That's nice. Even spending time in nature, and trying to develop a regular routine that's very helpful to stabilize, taking bath, that sounds simple, massage, relaxation techniques, yoga, those kinds of things. They are holistic in the sense of you've got you've got several areas. You got your physical body that you need to nurture, healthy food, sleep. That makes a big difference. If you are depressed and you neglect even those simple things like sleeping enough and eating healthy food and exercise, that makes a big difference in how you feel about yourself. But when you're feeling depressed or abused people often feel such a low self-esteem, they don't want to get up at all. And they can't even get up in the morning, they don't feel like taking a shower or doing those things. But if you can somehow get into a routine of just doing those basic things, it makes a big difference. Even chanting, if you can't chant, listen to Prabhupada chanting. If you can't, if you don't feel like reading books, go somewhere where they will read them. You sit in the temple where people are hearing, or put on a tape, and just internalize, or how do you say, be inspired by others who are doing it. If you can't even chant at all, pray for help. That's, to me, a magic mantra that I give people in the hospital who are not Hare Krishna devotees, but they're desperate. And I've found out that if they can just, I tell them the universe is a benevolent place, whatever you call God, cry out with all your heart, help me, and something will shift, and it does. So I've met devotees, particularly in the Ukrainian immigration, coming out, and very traumatized mothers with children whose husbands have had to stay behind in the battlefield. And they're like, I can't chant. Don't tell me I have to now chant 16 rounds. I can't even, I am so freaked out. With a 4-year-old child, I can't do that. But go back to your prayer life, any prayer life that you can, that connects yourself, your heart, to the Supreme Being, whatever name you have for that. Krishna will hear. So, when you are traumatized, or you've experienced a sudden loss, you may not be able to perform your spiritual practices normally, and that's okay. That's okay. You'll come back to it when you're feeling all right. But meanwhile, you also have to resist the people who are going to tell you need to chant 100 rounds, and you need to read the Bhagavad Gita, and I've been doing that all day. It's not helping. So you've got to find the 1/3 of people who are really going to be helpers. 1/3 of the people that you will meet are toxic. They're going to be the ones who are going to be bashing you with the Bhagavad Gita and shaming you because you are not following perfectly. And then you have the people who don't really care. But the 1/3 of people are the people you want to find who really understand and can journey with you and accompany you, and not guilt you for not feeling like wanting even to go to the temple when you're hurting. It's like being sick. You have a mental health day. You're not feeling well. Just stay home, like as if you had a fever. I just can't face all the people and talking to people. I just need to care for myself now. And that's okay. That's how we heal. It's kind of a natural, normal, necessary process that that's built into our body mind, is, just withdrawing, pulling our energy in, and nurturing ourselves first, and not feeling ashamed about that. Yeah. You matter.
You've answered that really, really well. I'm just wondering about more practical resources. I didn't introduce myself before, but I work in domestic and family violence recovery. And I'm not at the crisis point. I'm at when people are in safety and they can actually do the deeper work. So we do medium to long term where I work. But before they get, there's kind of a process when people are in the home and they've decided to leave. What do we need to give them? And what do we need to help people with once they've left?
What, when they've left an abusive situation?
Okay, so let's just start with the crisis. When they're in that situation, what resources, practical resources, are there for people who are in a domestic violence relationship? How can a person outside help when they're inside?
Yes, we give them an emergency escape plan, like keeping all their important documents, things that they would need in a safe place beforehand. Maybe keeping it with some person whom they are confident would, keep those things carefully and not, not obviously disclose it to the husband or the abuser, whoever it is. So helping them to keep that, and the plan for the children also, how to, how to come out of the house, what are the contact numbers that they can contact. Like we have NGOs in India, there's a police helpline also that they can contact women. And if they call up, then immediately the police people come and they help. Problem is they don't call because they are worried about breaking the home. But there are numbers where immediately they will get help if there is a intense situation. So giving them an escape plan so that they have the numbers, all the numbers, keeping the numbers handy, all the important things that they need, having a small suitcase ready with the most important documents and basic things that they need, so that in case they need to leave immediately, they can do so, because they have kept their things ready. And also having some sort of a code when they are talking to a friend, they're pre-decided, so that if they call up the friend and they say some sentence, so the friend knows that this is an emergency and I need to call the police, or I need to get there with some help so that we can take them out from there. So like that, there are many strategies which are used to help them to move out. And already we would have created resources. They would already be knowing what is going to be their next step or their next plan of action. Because others, if you just tell them leave the house and then go where?
Where
There has to be
exactly?
some clarity. So that would have already been discussed earlier. So this is not done when there is an emergency. Obviously, it is decided beforehand. So when there's an emergency, then immediately this escape plan can be put into action. Sometimes there may be a medical emergency, sometimes there may be this type of emergency. So what is to be done is decided beforehand.
Yeah, and so important that wherever they go, that the abuser can't find them. I mean, in the United States, they have secret places. Nobody knows where they are. You really, because often they're killed by their abuser if they find them. So it's a very tricky thing. It's no wonder women are hesitant to leave. So you need a real secure plan. Where are they going, and how are they getting care for a period of time? They also may need some financial help. There needs to be some funding for these kinds of things, some funding, because unless women have some finances, how are they taking care of their children and themselves for an extended period of time? Yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah, I forget what is that word, but there is in the US especially, I know there is one order you give where the person can't contact you by mail or
Restraining order.
restraining order, yeah, where they cannot come near you in any way, cannot contact you on WhatsApp, email in any way, shape or form. And if they do, then can be put behind bars immediately.
Yeah.
So that type of thing also can be done in an adverse situation. There was one case like this that had come to us, and one agency, they got hold of the husband and they threatened him, and they told him that even if she slips on a banana peel and falls, we'll catch you. So you're not only responsible for not abusing, but you're responsible for caring if she's staying with you. So it's not only about her not getting upset with you, what you are doing, but she should not get hurt. Physically, there should not be any physical or emotional distress that happens. So after that, things got a little cool. He didn't have to be put in jail. But if that doesn't work, obviously, then they have to take the legal action and do the needful. But that can happen only when the woman files the case. And as Mataji said, woman will file the case only when she is confident that she has support, financial as well as emotional support, social support. Then she can have the courage to take that, strong action.
Thank you. And maybe we could finish with some practical ways to support somebody who's now left the home, and because in our communities, divorce, separation, it's not regarded highly, and having been through that myself, there's so much shame and guilt about not remaining in a relationship, And even if other people don't believe that you are in the wrong or that it's bad, it's something that you can, I carried around for a really long time, that I just felt like I was a shameful person. So I think it's really important to highlight how we can support women who've made that step, even though it's against the ideal in the Shastra and the ideal of, you know, so many previous saintly people. We haven't heard about people getting divorced in the past in the scripture. So it's very, very hard for people to do that. And then once they've done it, to hold their face up in public is sometimes difficult. So maybe you could talk about how we can help them feel easier. I think the thing that one devotee told me, Taraka, you're a very brave woman. And that really, really helped me. So maybe you've got some other things to say to help us understand how to relate to women who've made this decision.
Thank you for bringing that up. A couple of years ago, I did a divorce grief support group. We do with Karuna Care. That's something we do. And we had various women and men who had either had spouses run away with someone else, or pretty much everybody was left by someone, abandoned by someone. But whichever way it worked, the devotees shunned them. They would come to the temple and no one would talk to them because of this stigma around divorce, you know. And even though it wasn't even them who had left, the spouse, they were blamed for not figuring out how to work it out. The thing that helped them the most, those folks who came to this grief support group, was having communication and validation from other like-minded people who had that experience as well, and having a space where they can freely talk about their pain, cry their tears, offer each other suggestions on what helped them cope, and have a regular little community of care that can support them. And because the whole temple, the people stopped talking to them. So they had nobody, and it was very, very isolating and lonely. And as you say, a lot of shame there. And what they needed most is a caring community, a small community of friends. So you can be that person to reach out and journey with them. You know, just be there and treat it like it's a huge loss, because divorce is the next most painful experience to death. I mean, it's probably even harder because there's always this hope in the back of your mind that something's going to change, and it never does. But in the back of your mind, if someone dies, you know they're gone. But if they're on the planet, there's always in the back of your mind this illusion that somehow everything's going to get better. It just doesn't. So that would be what I would be doing, is as soon as you know that someone has had an experience like that, just know they're in so much pain, and whether they're coming to you for help or not, you should be the one to reach out. You know, what do you need? How can I help? I don't know what to say. Often people avoid people in pain because they just don't know what to say. Just say it. I don't know what to say. You know, I can't imagine how hard this is. You tell me what you need and let me care. That's all. That's something. That's a start, right? Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
You
like
have something to add that?
it's like preparing for your next life. You know, it's like another life altogether, totally
Yeah.
different. And preparing for that while you're in this life, so that, you know, it's not, that doesn't become another trauma. Because the emotional disturbance, in spite of the person being abusive, sometimes, you know, people might feel that a blind uncle is better than no uncle. But when they actually move out of that abusive situation, they do feel a sense of relief, but they also feel lonely. So both the things are there. They might appear to be contradictory, but both the feelings do come. So as you said, that a support system is very important. And while they're taking the decision itself, we would have made them do what is called as a cost-benefit analysis, sort of, to understand what are the advantages and disadvantages of both the situations. So it's not that when we are alone, it's going to be a perfect situation. So make them We make them write down both the things. Advantages of being alone, disadvantages of being alone, advantages of being in a relationship and leaving this relationship, leaving this abusive relationship. So
Yeah.
when they do that, then they're fully aware of what could be the possible, limitations or drawbacks of staying separate, of being alone. Especially when they have kids, it becomes all the more pertinent. So when they write that down, they're already aware that these things would come up. And at that time itself, we discuss with them that if these things do come up at that time, what do you think would be your coping strategies? How would you deal with that situation? Then we would have already created resources about what they would be liking to do, what are their interests, if they're working or they have friends, or as you said, there's a community of like-minded people. So those resources would already be there for them. So we create what is called as a hope kit. Maybe keeping photographs or maybe keeping names of friends and so on. So whenever you feel very low that, oh, I'm going to be alone, no, you're not going to be alone. Open your hope kit and see what are the things that are there for you. So you don't feel totally isolated or totally alone, that there are many other people who are going through these things. And if this is what will people think about me, who are the people who are reaching out to you? Yeah, they are the people who are thinking about you and they are reaching out to you. They matter. What
Right.
people who are not reaching out to you, they don't matter. How does it matter what they think about you?
No.
And ultimately, you want to lead a fulfilling life, you have to take charge of your own life and do the needful. Nobody else is going to do it, right, for you. So then a little bit of that pep talk at that time with the, of course, the emotional support. Without emotional support, the pep talk has no meaning. With the emotional support, if there is that little pep talk, then they are able to do it. They are able to come out of it. I know one such lady who recently got remarried and she's very happy. She chose the second partner very carefully. Very carefully.
So I think we're at the end of our time. Both of you have been amazing. You've really helped open this up and help us understand the long-term impacts on victims or survivors of domestic violence. What happens in the family. You've talked about the cycle of abuse and helped people understand what's actually going on in that family. What the consequences could be if we don't reach out to people, what might continue in their life, what behaviors can we notice in people that we see at the temple or who are part of our community that might ring alarm bells that there's something going on. What can we do to go and reach out to them and offer them some support? And really, what practical things can we do in different stages to help? So you've also touched on trauma, on grief and loss. Radharani's given some really great psychological perspectives, and Rambhoru, you've really helped us understand, how to support as a devotee and understanding, that unconditional love that can really be very healing and powerful. So both of you done an amazing job to help us understand so many things about domestic and family violence and how we can support people in our community in different phases of their life if they've experienced that, and also bringing light onto the impacts on children, which are really, really important because they have such a long-term effect. So I think this will be well received by some of our community members, and thank you very much for being wonderful panelists. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare